Hey everyone, welcome to the Bronc Bros podcast. I am your host, Mile High Mez. Today we'll be covering the good things about the Broncos game and the not so good things about the monstrosity of a game that actually was. The positive, of course, being that the Broncos came out on top. Now, you guys may have noticed that I'm doing this show by myself this week. Sean is spending some quality time with his family, and we wanted to get something out about this game. And I personally wanted to vent about this game. So I'm sure Sean is probably glad he took the week off because I don't have a lot of positive things to say, especially about Sean Payton, who is, this is becoming a thing every week with me and Sean Payton. And other Bronco fans are like, well, he's a great coach. He's an offensive guru. And I'm like, okay, well, not so much. 5 of 15 on third down is not an offensive guru. So, there were good things. The Broncos defense was absolutely dominant. -10 passing yards for the Jets. -10 passing yards for the Jets. That's unheard of in the NFL. They did have 92 rushing yards. That's really all they could do the whole game. And so the Broncos putting a -10 on them. They had 82 total yards in this game, which makes it insane for me to say that at the end of the game, the Jets had a chance. Had they just converted one or two more third downs, they could have won the game. That's how awful the Broncos offense was today. And that is the inconsistency with Sean Payton, with the play calling, with the use of his personnel that just grinds my gears to no end. And I finally saw some people today on social media that are getting on board and finally seeing that this guy is not all he's made up to be. Okay, what has he done since 2009? What has he done without Drew Brees? Yes, he took us to the playoffs last year, and that's great. I'm happy about that. But this guy needs to give up play calling, and he needs to give it up right now. The game has passed this dude by. He has too many personnel packages. He tries to get too cute with his play calling. And there were a couple instances that I'm going to get into here in just a moment that were just absolutely insane. But before we get into all that, I do want to talk to you guys about I'm wearing a Mariners hat. You guys know I'm a Mariners fan, or most of you do. And so it's been a stressful weekend for me. They did win on Friday after a 15-inning, heart-stopping game. And then they won tonight, too, in Game 1 against Toronto. So after beating Detroit on Friday night, we go directly into the next series, and we beat the Blue Jays, which is awesome. And then the Bulldogs somehow pulled out a win, which is crazy. And so my vibes are high for the weekend. I'm like, okay, the Broncos, they've got this. I'm getting W's all over the place, right? And yes, the Broncos won the game. But how many of you can tell me which teams in the NFL the Broncos are going to beat playing like that besides the Jets? Anyone? Yeah, me neither. The Broncos defense was amazing, like we just talked about. 9 sacks today. And when they needed to come up with a play to end the game, they came up with it. And Jonathan Cooper, my buddy Austin and I, shout out Austin, we were texting about this game all throughout. And of course, I'm like, what the hell is Sean Payton doing? The whole game, pretty much. He makes it so easy for me to pick that bone with him. And it's just getting to a point where it's boiling over now. And anyway, we were talking about the defense. We were talking about Jonathan Cooper. Of course, all of us have been watching him his entire career with the Broncos to this point. And that had to have been his best game as a Bronco, as a pro, because we're talking about a guy that goes into this game. Justin Sternad had a sack and a half. That's crazy to look at. But Jonathan Cooper, what more can you say about this guy? He had 2 sacks. He had 2 tackles and 3 tackles or assist tackles. And this dude was flying all over the place. Him and Benito are just unstoppable off the edge, and they are timing up the snap. And against an offensive line that's just not equipped to block these guys, it's an easy situation for the Broncos. So shout out to the defense because they were absolutely outstanding, all of them. Hufanga made a huge play at the end of the game where Garrett Wilson really should have caught the ball. He's wide open. And Hufanga, even though the throw was a little bit behind him, Hufanga came and knocked the ball away. Everyone saw the play. It was awesome. That guy has been huge for the Broncos defense this year. And he may be the best signing by anybody in the entire offseason. So shout out to the Broncos front office for that. But all day long, the Broncos were getting pressure. Hufanga had a sack. Brandon Jones had half a sack. Benito had a sack. Uwazurike had a sack. Of course, Cooper, we just talked about, had 2. Sternad had 1.5. JFM had 1. Zach Allen had 1. Pretty much everybody got in on the sack party, which is awesome. The Broncos defense is playing at an elite level ever since that Chargers game. Or excuse me, since that Colts game. They played really good in that Chargers game too. They just ended up getting beat at the end because they were on the field the whole time because this offense is atrocious. Okay? I'm tired of talking about this every week. The Broncos, outside of the first half against the Colts and the entire game, well, I guess the first half against the Bengals, right? They have not played good football on offense at all. And who's to blame for this? Are we going to blame Bo Nix or is it Sean Payton? I personally like to blame Sean Payton because I don't like him. But I'd like to hear from, other people and what their opinions are because I may just be seeing something that other people aren't seeing. I may just be letting my disdain for Sean Payton just blur my vision. I just can't stand the guy. And I'm a Broncos fan till the end. I got a Broncos tattoo on my arm. You know what I mean? I love the Broncos. They are my team. They'll always be my team. But that doesn't mean I have to like the coach. And trust me, I don't. Okay? So if we're talking about total offense this year, the Broncos rank somewhere not near the top, right? So if we're talking about passing offense, the Broncos are, let's see, they're 12th in passing offense. I think they're top 5 in rushing. They are top 5 in rushing. And then points per game, not so much. They are not, they're at 21.7, so they're like middle of the pack in the league. Okay. The problem is the stats look fine, but when you watch the game, there are fundamental issues with the Broncos. Now, this Powers injury is going to kill them because Matt Parrott is a pylon and he can't block anything. He killed 2 drives on his own today. So hats off to him for that. And then Wattenberg has been atrocious all season. So he always looks lost out there. I don't know what the Broncos are going to do about this interior line situation, but they need to do something because Matt Parrott ain't it. The guy is not it. And so if the Broncos want to remain competitive and win football games, they're going to have to fix that offensive line, interior offensive line, because it just hasn't been good. And people can say, oh, the grades this, the grades that. If you watch the game, Luke Wattenberg he looks lost or he gets blown up. He can't block somebody. And then Matt Parrott, my goodness, it looked like he had never played football in his life today. But getting back to Sean Payton, the main issue, the number one issue, really the only issue with the Broncos, well, the special teams isn't very good either. Sean Payton, there were a couple instances in this game where I was texting my buddy and I was like, where is J.K. Dobbins? Because he was only on the field for 14 carries today for 40 yards. 14 carries. Of course, Bo Nix was throwing the ball around and nothing was getting done, but he got to pass the ball 30 times. We handed to our running backs 16 times. This is a theme with the Broncos. How are you top 5 in rushing offense, but you're not handing the ball to your running backs? I don't understand what we're doing. I don't understand why Sean Payton has this pressing need to just like show off Bo Nix every week. He thinks that he has some sort of elite passing offense that can't be stopped. You saw like Bo Nix do that little arrogant wink today and then never did anything for the rest of the game. And it's just like these guys think more of themselves than they are actually putting out on the field. And going back to that J.K. Dobbins thing, he wasn't on the field for it feels like 2 quarters. But you know who was on the field is Jaleel McLaughlin. And there was a play call in this game on 3rd and I think it was 9. I can't even remember. I was like, why is Jaleel McLaughlin on the field? And they ran this weird like fake screen thing to Jaleel McLaughlin. I don't know what the hell they were doing. But why are our 2 best backs not on the field during a 3rd down? Then there was another instance where it was 3rd down and Nate Adkins was in the backfield and they just handed him the ball out of the shotgun. And I was like, it was like 3rd and 6, I think, or 3rd and 9. I think I'm getting those 2 mixed up. Maybe they were both 3rd and 9. I don't know. I was disgusted by the play calls today. You targeted Cortland Sutton, once today? He had 1 catch for 17 yards, and that was in the first quarter, I think. What are we doing? We're not running the ball. We're not getting the ball to our best receiver. I mean, we got Evan Ingram a little bit more involved today, but we're designing plays for checks notes. Jaleel McLaughlin on 3rd down. Sean Payton is a problem for the Broncos right now. And I don't care who agrees or whatever, who agrees, who disagrees. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is that I feel like Sean Payton is a problem right now. Okay? This egomaniac that runs the Broncos offense is running the Broncos offense into the ground. Every week we come out and we don't run the football. And we try to feature Bo Nix. And we try to run play action before we even establish the run. Teams are not falling for this crap. Okay? The Broncos, and then I feel like on the first 2 drives, I think they threw like 6 screens. And I understand that screens are an extension of the run game, but when they're not working, stop calling them. And the other thing is, if you want to call screens all the time, make sure you have the players on the field that can execute the blocking for those plays. It's getting to the point with the Broncos where it's just we've watched this team for years in Denver. Good defense, elite defense, solid defense, and just atrocious offense. And this year is no different. It's supposed to be, but it isn't. And I don't know what the solution is to Sean Payton calling the plays, but somebody else needs to call the damn plays because this ain't working. You're not an offensive guru. The game has passed you by. You're too cute with all your personnel groupings. You're too cute with your play calls on 3rd down, on 4th down. And that's fine that every now and then we're going to have a bright spot with you. You go for 2 last week, which was insanely stupid, but it worked somehow. And yes, the Broncos made the playoffs. The Broncos made the playoffs, and the Broncos are 4-2 this year because of the defense. Make no mistake about it. Without this defense this year, the Broncos are 1-5. They're 1-5. Because the offense has been, despite what the numbers say, top 5, top 10, whatever you want to say, in passing, rushing, they aren't putting up numbers on the scoreboard. They're not converting on 3rd down. They're not staying in 3rd and medium and 3rd and short. They are not disciplined. There is a penalty on every huge play, it seems like, on both sides of the ball. And it's just getting ridiculous. And people can say what they want to say about the penalties. That's on the coach. If your team is undisciplined, that's on the coach. That's on the coach. That's on the coach. There's nothing more to say about this. So the arrogance that Sean Payton continues to carry himself with is sickening to me. It is. And I have a hard time just forgiving the guy for Bountygate in the first place. I can't stand him. I can't stand when he talks to the media. He takes 35 seconds to get a sentence out. Oh, relative to, no. Dude, it's just wearing thin, honestly. And it's probably weird that I'm going on this rant right now because the Broncos are 4-2, and people are probably going to be upset about it. But I really, really just don't care right now. Because if the so before the season started, Sean Payton said Bo Nix is a top 5 quarterback. He said that the Broncos are trying to win a Super Bowl. They are not going to win a Super Bowl playing like this. So if you want to put those expectations on your team, you need to deliver. You need to provide results. You need to put your players in a position to succeed. You need to call better plays. You need to manage these games better. You need to get the play calls in before the play clock gets to 10 seconds. I've had enough of this. And no, I don't even think any of this is on Bo Nix. They're not putting him in a position to succeed. And of course, he's not going to say anything about that. Why would he? The Broncos drafted him. The Broncos gave him his opportunity. Sean Payton, treats him with kid gloves. He does no wrong. But Sean Payton is the biggest problem on the Broncos football team right now. And it's not close. The special teams is not great, but Sean Payton is the problem. And there is a reason, people, hear me on this. There is a reason that he has not won anything in, 16 years? 16 years. He's done nothing in the NFL. So, yes, it's great that the Broncos made the playoffs last year. But by his own standards, he said the Broncos are Super Bowl contenders. He said that Bo Nix is a top 5 quarterback. We aren't seeing that. The Broncos are not playing good football. They have not played one complete game all season on both sides of the football. I guess the Bengals would be that one exception. But the Titans, they should have lost that game. The Colts, they did lose that game. The Chargers, they did lose that game. This game, they should have lost. And the Eagles game, they should have lost. The Eagles forgot who they were and stopped running the football on the Broncos. They were up 17-3. It was a good win for the Broncos. But you can't tell me that the Eagles just didn't give that thing away. Stupid penalties at the end. Like just very uncharacteristic things of the Eagles. And it's great that the Broncos won the game. I'm not complaining about that. But for every step that we take forward with Sean Payton, we take another step back, or 2 steps back, if you will. So making the playoffs last year, awesome. You want to set Super Bowl expectations? You can't play football like this. You can't play football like this. The AFC is there for the taking, and you are just stuck in the mud with your offense. You refuse to change. It's the same crap every week. And it's just, we're tired of watching it. We're tired of watching this brand of football in Denver. We're tired of having to have to see our defense make a play at the end of a game where they have dominated. They had to make a play at the end of a game that they had given up Negative 10 passing yards. Because if they didn't make that one play, they would have lost. That is absolutely insane to me. The personnel groupings, the penalties in the end zone, the penalties on third down, it has to stop, and it's on the coach. Period. So next week, the Broncos are going to play at home against the Giants. The Giants are red hot right now. Okay. As far as how they feel about themselves, how they look, they're playing good football. They did lose to the Saints. They do have weaknesses, but they also have a tremendous pass rush. So the theme of next week is the Broncos are trying to be football giants. The football giants are coming to town, right? They're trying to be giants in the football world. They're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to stay, they're trying to keep pace with the Chargers. Can anyone tell me, look me in the eyes and tell me that if the Broncos play like this on offense against the Giants, they're going to win that game the way Jackson Dart and Scatabo are playing? There's no way. And I don't care if it's at home, away, on the moon, in the parking lot, at Walmart. I don't care where the game's played. You cannot play offense like this again against anybody remaining on the schedule. You got Dallas coming up after the Giants. Those guys will put points up like crazy. Now, our defense is going to have something to say about that. But if you can't keep up with them, you're going to be in trouble. Okay? And then you've got the Raiders. They're the Raiders. And the Chiefs. Right? So I think that's the schedule. Let me look at the schedule real quick. Giants. Oh, Texans. Giants, Cowboys, Texans, Raiders. Okay. So the Broncos' four of their next 5 games are at home. Giants at home, Cowboys at home, Raiders at home, Chiefs at home. The only road game is going to be the Texans, where we just have to hope that somebody doesn't get injured because that turf is atrocious in Houston. And Houston is a pretty dangerous team with a good defense. Their offense has woken up a little bit lately, but that might be more a product of their schedule. I'm not exactly sure. And then after that, the Broncos are going to go on the road for the Commanders and the Raiders. They'll come back to play the Packers and the Jags. They'll go to the Chiefs. They'll come home for the Chargers. So really, the tough part of the schedule as far as road games seems to be mostly over, right? But we'll see. Before the next 5 games are at home in Denver, we need to play better football, starting with the Giants. That pass rush is no joke. And even though they don't have Malik Neighbors, Jackson Dart is figuring out ways to put up points with that offense. Now, is he probably going to struggle against the Broncos? It's likely. But where is the proof that the Giants defense is going to struggle against the Broncos offense? And again, we can go back to top 10 in passing, top 5 in rushing, middle of the pack in scoring. And a lot of that has to do with the defense. A lot of it has to do with the defense. The NFL needs to come up with a stat where it talks about the actual points given up by the defense versus if the offense, gives up a pick 6, or if they give up the ball at the 5-yard line and the defense, essentially has to give up 3 points, at least 3 points in that situation. But anyway, I think the Broncos have the potential to be a good team, but they are not playing that way right now. And they're getting by the skin of their teeth. And it's frustrating because we've seen this before. And we know how it's going to end if the Broncos offense doesn't turn it around. Look, the Chiefs won by like 2 touchdowns tonight against the Lions. They're back. They are back. And they're only 1 game behind us now. So every win is going to be super important. The Broncos are going to have to reel off these next 4, at least 3 of the next 4, right, before they get to play the Chiefs again. So if you win 3 of the next 4, you're sitting at 7-3. Yeah, 7-3 before the Chiefs come in. You're in good shape. That is going to be a huge game for the Broncos. And yes, our defense owns the Chiefs, especially in the red zone. I think the last 13 trips to the red zone for the Chiefs, they have not scored a touchdown against the Broncos, or only one of their last 13. Something like that. The Broncos play really good defense against the Chiefs. This is not last year's Chiefs offense anymore. They are a lot more dynamic, and their defense is still very good. Excuse me. So what I'm saying is 6 games into the season, is it time to panic? No. Is it time to call somebody out for their terrible play calling? I don't have an issue with that. I know a lot of people are going to take umbrage with this particular episode of Bronc Bros, if you even watch it or listen to it, as we're getting started here, and we have a few listeners now. But I want you guys to know that it's pure passion for the Broncos that I have. And I just can't get on board with Sean Payton. I just can't do it. I don't find him to be a likable guy. I just don't. And that's okay. You guys can get mad about it and do what you do. I know people overreact on the internet all the time. But I didn't like trading a draft picks for him. I thought we should have signed Harbaugh instead of him. And he's just, his ego, it just shows every game. And I just can't get past it. I will root for the Broncos to win games, of course. And I will give Sean Payton his flowers when he deserves them. But when he deserves to be called out, if nobody else is going to do it, then I'll do it. So anyway, thank you for listening to my rant session. This has been the Bronc Bros podcast. You can find us on YouTube. You can listen to us on Spotify. And wherever podcasts are found, you can find us there. Follow us on Instagram at BroncBros_ and on X. You can follow me at Mile High Mez. Listen to this show, pass it on to a friend, like, follow, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And as always, we very, very much appreciate all of our listeners. And until next week, go Broncos.